Appears as if both brake lines are damaged on the rear, the hard lines that go between the flex line and the wheel cylinder. And you can see where this one was sort of attached in that manner. But I tried to replicate this bending with a combination of ways of doing it. Obviously this is the proper tool to use, but sometimes you can't get as quite of a tight a radius that you need. So what I did was I took a piece of 3/8 or smaller pipe, chucked it up in the vise, and I was able to basically form it around without kinking the straight line. This is the way you buy it, in a section like this. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and tried to replicate the way it was bent and the way it went around without touching anything. It goes all the way underneath, and then it comes back up underneath here where it attaches. So everything right now is loosely fitted. Now I'm going to go back in and put some anti-seize on all the threads, tighten everything up, and we should be good. I'm going to just take some anti-seize here and put it on the threads. Doesn't take much, just a little bit there. The actual sealing, it's a metal-to-metal seal against this tip and all the way inside. But it's extremely important that as you install this, that you run this in by hand. And if you feel any binding, stop, back up, and make sure that it's square in there, that it's perpendicular. And it's imperative that you use these flare nut wrenches, because this will give you a much better contact on here, and you won't have such a tendency to round off the fastener there. That should do it. Now bear in mind, I had everything loosely attached at the wheel cylinder, and here where the hard line attaches to the bracket, attaches to the flex line, which is attached to the bracket, all the way back up to here where the other bracket is, and there's another hard line back there. Everything is loosely fitted just to keep things in proper alignment. So what I'm now doing is I'm going back and applying some anti-seize on the threads, paying it forward for next time, for the next fellow or for gal 10 or 20 years from now, gonna have to do this job again. So now what I'll do is I'll basically pull this piece out, let it sit there like that for the moment, grab a little bit of anti-seize and apply it onto these threads. Don't have to be too crazy with it, but just enough to, as the excess is going to go all over the place. And then reinsert that. I only have two hands, so I'm going to apply the lock washer and the nut, and I'll come back in a second here. Okay, the fastener and the lock washer are where they need to be, and then of course we'll run this up by hand, and then prior to, just leave it a little bit loose so that you got a little bit of wiggle room here. Next we're going to attach the hard line by putting, I think there should still be some anti-seize on those threads, and then we'll attach that. And once that's attached, then we can tighten up this one and then tighten up the fitting on the hard line. And again, the purpose of keeping everything relatively loose is that you have some adjustment, because everything you want to do is by hand and run these in until they seat. And occasionally you may have to wiggle the line just to make sure that nothing is binding, making sure that it's all square and true. Now it looks to be good. Now we'll finalize everything with the wrench. And finally, tighten the hard line to the flex line. Again, I'm using a flare wrench to get a better bite. Removed the lock nut and lock washer from here. I'm going to put some anti-seize on these threads, reinsert this in here, put on the lock washer and the nut, again loosely until I can get the hard line secured to the flex line. And we'll run this in just a little bit more. Again, you only need a few degrees movement, because when you go to attach this hard line, you want to make sure that you're absolutely straight, not off by 1 degree.